Hi, everybody. Welcome to Leadership Book of the Month. I'm Kelly Burns, and this is number 45 for us. I started doing these in 2021, and Brett Goetzel joined shortly after I started, and he's not able to join today, so we send best wishes out to Brett. And we usually pick a book that is speaks to the real world of leading people, especially in a time when all of this complexity is going on and we need rising clarity, and that's hard to find. And we also like a little bit of inspiration. And we generally pick books that are research-based, have a lot of stories, based on C-suite level experience, and aren't academic primarily, but we do like the practical kind of books. Our whole intention here is to help the leaders of tomorrow who want to invest in themselves today do that investing in a way that helps them grow as leaders. So that could be somebody that's new in their career, new to management, or it could be somebody that's been in management for a long time and wants to make sure they stay relevant. And we keep that in mind as well as we make our selections. So today we're going to talk about leading through, and the subtitle is Activating the Soul, Heart, and Mind of Leadership. The authors clearly care about leadership at the values level, and they aim to offer a model that elevates purpose, and they also focus on connection as well. So I always appreciate when people focus on all of that. Okay, so that said, this book has a different feel than the ones that we usually select, and that it is primarily, it'll read like an academic book. And but Brett and I both struggled a little bit with that. The tone is more academic. There's tons of examples and stories. A lot of them have been used in other books, and some of the CEOs talked about have written their own books too, but there are some that were clearly clients of the authors. The authors, by the way, are Kim, Jonathan, and Erin Clark, and they're a family. Kim is the dad, and Jonathan and Erin are his children. And I don't have the bios of them. Kim was the, sorry, let me see if I have it handy. I don't want to say it wrong. If he was the, nope, I don't have it. Yeah, my apologies. I think Kim was the dean of Harvard Business School. Sorry, it's right here. Yeah, he was dean of the faculty at Harvard Business School. Sorry, I could have just turned to the back cover. For 10 years from 1995 to 2005. And he also is the 15th president at Brigham Young University. His son, Jonathan, is a professor at University of Texas, San Antonio, and his daughter, Erin, is managing director at Deloitte Consulting. So it's heavily based on academia and then consulting as well, which I am an academic too, as you know, as an adjunct in the MBA program at Rockhurst University, and as a consultant too. But having the experience in the C-suite, I think, would help some of the suggestions and the solutions resonate a little bit deeper, and maybe even the stories be taken to another level. One of the focuses of the book is something that I'm back all the way, and it's that power over others is less effective than leading through. That's the intention of the title, leading through others, not powering over others. And powering over is really antiquated. They talk a lot about it and how it doesn't serve anymore. So if you're somebody that has come up in business, being powered over, emphasis on the hierarchy at all times. And if that's how you came up, that might be how you're leading now. And that's not going to work on Gen Z and Gen Alpha coming up behind them. It hardly works on anybody anymore. So that is definitely a good point, that powering over is outdated. The authors didn't invent that concept, obviously. It's been talked about since the early 1900s. But when manufacturing was the main line of business in America, that was kind of hard to break through and get everybody on board with that. But Douglas McGregor, you might know the theory X and Y of motivation. Then the theory of servant leadership in the 70s with Robert Greenleaf. But then the 80s and 90s had Warren Bennis, Kussis and Posner. And I think we did that book, The Leadership Challenge. We did that in this, or it's in, I know it's one of the books that I use in the leadership course that I teach. It's actually right up. It's one of those books in that little pile right there that you could see on the my shelves. I'm a big fan of theirs. But Peter Drucker also in the 80s and 90s was big in the area of what works with leadership and management now. And then over the last decade, and some of the books that we've talked about, Multipliers, Trust and Inspire, Dare to Lead, Brene Brown's whole thing doesn't have to do with powering over people. The Fearless Organization, several others that we've talked about, touch on that premise as well. So full support for that in this book too. Okay, so this book doesn't align exactly with what we usually talk about, but there are relevant takeaways. So if you read it, I'd love to hear from you, what resonated with you, what you thought, and anything that you appreciated about it. Let me look over here at where I can go to the comments for a quick second. So if anybody's here live, would love to know and hear your thoughts if you have some thoughts if you've read this book too. So, but there are a couple takeaways in addition to the power over is outdated, #no dinosaurs, no dinosaurs, that I use that sometimes. But another one, it's about the soul, heart, and mind. And it is important, all three of those. And so if you came up under power over and the hierarchy years ago, you might have even been told, don't bring your soul and heart to work. It was only about your mind, first your hands and then your mind. And I remember early in my career that a mentor, not a boss of mine, but a mentor, and he told me, cut the happiness crap, like quit bringing your personal happiness in, and all that was just like through a good morning and not oversharing or anything. But that these days it is important for leaders to be genuine with who they are, which is having a soul and a heart and their mind, and combining all of those. They talk about the soul matters and the sense of purpose. And that's something I work on a lot with clients, as many of you will know, the sense of purpose. And then it's not just stating the purpose and putting it on the wall. And same with any of the principles for getting people to bring their hearts in or connect on the heart level. It's not just posting it on the wall, it's how you live that. So the leaders being role models, and that's emphasized throughout here as well. And one of the comments I wrote was, people follow what's ethical, grounded, and meaningful to them. So the more you can bring your soul and help connect with their soul so they understand and remember what the purpose is, that will work for you in your favor. Another principle emphasized was related to the heart, and how the heart is how we really connect with people genuinely and deeper than just on a project. So bringing that in to help build trust, the connection, to deepen that, and let people know that you care about them. That is okay to do. And you can care about people and still hold them accountable and be accountable to them as well. The mind creates the systems. I think in that part they talked about hierarchy. This was in one of their framework sections. Let's see. The framework for the action, but they talk about hierarchy and the common, ideal way to get rid of, or ideal mode to get rid of some of the hierarchy and the levels and layers. And some of that might be where it was a little more academic than realistic on a broad scale. Of course, there are companies who have done that well. Gary Hamel, *Humanocracy* was the first book that I did in the Leadership Book of the Month when it came out, and *Humanocracy 2.0 just came out, and I'm working on that and thinking about that for 2026 in one of our conversations. But so their thought on that is the same, about eliminating the layers and the hierarchy. And not too long ago, I was on a board of a nonprofit, and somebody told me, Kelly, you need to go up the chain of command in this organization. You can't just go talk to other board members. And that was pretty it was just about a project, just about some work. And so it was kind of interesting how even 10 years ago, some people still were in the mode of power over. But eliminating the layers, I've seen that cause some confusion and some unhappiness in the workplace. So if there's fewer layers, the managers who remain, they have their own jobs now. They don't only oversee people. So they have their own jobs, and now they might have 10, 15, or 20 direct reports. And as you might imagine, it's hard to be there for all of those people, to meet all of their individual needs. So, reducing the hierarchy or the layers, people need to be careful about that. It sounds great, and it can save you money on management roles, but then you can be burning out the ones that stay, having unrealistic expectations of them. And then also the employees, sometimes when they're expected to do more in a mode like this, they're not happy about that. There are a lot of people that want to come in and do their job and do a great job, but they're not looking for their self-esteem and personal purpose there. They just want to do a great job and go in their personal lives after work and everything else that they do. And I learned that lesson early on when the department admin was, I think she was in her 50s, and I was like 23, 24. And my boss, I remember, pulled me aside and he said, she doesn't want to be the president of this company. And so, like, don't treat her like she needs a development plan and all the things. I thought I was being helpful, but it was not. So it helped me realize to look to see what people expect and need from work. And so the assumption that you just get rid of the hierarchy and layers of management, even if you do that kindly and everything, like I'm sure these authors would expect, that sometimes that's not the best move for certain cultures, certain companies. And so I would encourage you to be careful about that. But okay, let me see what else I had for, I think just two more. So two more key takeaways that I thought were good in here. Leaders shape the culture, whether they intend to or not. And that's something I certainly have said quite a bit. And people are noticing you. People see what the leaders do. And even if they don't say it directly, they notice when you come back from a meeting and you're in a bad mood, and you, if you're in person, they can tell in the office, or if you're going on to a virtual meeting, they can feel that vibe. So that's important for leaders to remember. And the ones I work with often are leaders who underestimate the impact they have on people. So I would encourage you to give that some thought and some self-awareness, so you don't underestimate and then cause more disruption or hurt feelings or any of that than you would intend. So I did appreciate that point, that leaders shape the culture whether they intend to or not. And then tying along with that, that leaders have to model the behavior that they expect. So even with the thing about the hierarchy, reducing the hierarchy by empowering people, how would you do that? How are you doing that now, empowering others? Or do you answer every question that people bring to you? Or do you push it back on them? What do you think? And let's talk it over. What are some pros and cons? And do you coach and guide and help develop, or do you answer and then you become the go all be all in the middle of everything? And actually that doesn't work either for a lot of companies. So make sure you know that you're modeling make sure you're intentional about modeling what you expect. So the last thing that I did like and appreciate that's a lot of leadership books don't talk about is the energy. So when you align the heart, the soul, heart, and the mind, you impact the energy around too. And that energy contributes to the fulfillment that people have, to their performance, but also just to their sense of purpose in life and their fulfillment. So I think that was another really good point. So there were plenty of great points in the book, even though it wasn't one of our favorites. If it was yours, let me know. I'd love to see it in the comments. Certainly great points, and you wouldn't be losing if you read it by any means. So my invitation for you this month is to think about one place where you could be more bold as a leader and more bold in your empowerment. And I think for you to be more bold in empowerment, you need to bring your heart, mind, and soul and also connect with others at that level too. And I think that is aligned with what this book would, what these authors would support. So if you have some comments, I'd be glad to, love to see them on LinkedIn or on YouTube. We always appreciate people watching, whether you join live or you watch the broadcast later. We will be back next month. Next month is the Infinite Game, Simon Sinek. And this is a couple years old, but people still have been, I've just seen it more lately. So people still talk about it. So I encourage you to join us for that one. And here is where you can find out more about the Leadership Book of the Month. It's the Voyage Consulting Group website, vcg.com/leadership books. So go there and you'll see the schedule for the rest of the year, which is one more, and the date, and you can make plans to join for that conversation. And then we're planning for 2026. So if you have some ideas, you have some favorite books, something that resonated with you, would love to see that and hear from you on that. So send us a note or post a comment, and would love to get your feedback on that. And I think that is it for, I'm looking at my notes. I think that's it for today. So thank you so much for sharing your journey of leadership and life with us. I appreciate being part of your journey, and I look forward to seeing you soon.